The architecture of the modern economy is fracturing. Headline tariffs, intensifying trade wars, and the breakdown of international cooperation are placing the global system under immense geopolitical pressure. This chart tracks the number of harmful trade and investment restrictions implemented annually. The trend accelerates sharply after 2018, coinciding with a period where the World Trade Organization has been effectively paralyzed by the loss of its dispute settlement functions. Military conflicts have now weaponized critical resources, replacing the old assumption of global stability with a landscape of physical destruction and resource scarcity. This instability marks a turn away from the hyper-globalized consensus of the 1990s and 2000s, when free trade and comparative advantage were expected to deliver universal growth. The era of seamless global supply chains is yielding to a system defined by its vulnerabilities, ending the long-standing belief in a flat world. Global trade data remains remarkably resilient despite these shocks. The ratio of trade to global GDP continues to hover near historic highs, even in the face of widespread protectionism. The booming technology sector is sustaining these trade volumes. The rush to build AI infrastructure meant that semiconductors and data center equipment accounted for roughly 1/3 of all global trade growth in 2025. The global trade network is mutating, finding ways to bypass political roadblocks and reroute components rather than simply shrinking. This is geoeconomic fragmentation. As the geopolitical risk index climbed after 2020, corporate mentions of reshoring and nearshoring surged, signaling a structural shift where policy now dictates trade routes. The global economy is becoming a tool of statecraft, weaponized by rival superpowers to secure their own strategic interests. The IMF used this fracturing as a modern parallel to the Cold War. The global economy is dividing into two distinct spheres, one centered on the United States and the other on China and Russia. During the previous Cold War, trade between the opposing blocs dropped sharply and remained suppressed for decades, even as overall global trade continued to expand. Direct trade and investment between today's rival blocs are following a similar path. Trade growth between geopolitically distant partners has slowed significantly compared to flows within aligned groups. Governments are using friendshoring and export controls to enforce this divide, specifically targeting a rival's access to energy supplies and advanced technologies. Strategic difference and state-driven industrial policy have replaced market efficiency as the primary architects of the global trade map. Superpower decoupling suggests a drop in volume that isn't appearing in the data. Goods are crossing the world in record numbers because routes have changed. A group of non-aligned connector countries now serves as the engine of the global economy, acting as the primary middlemen between rival blocs. China has evolved into a factory to the factories. It now ships raw materials and industrial components to intermediate nations, instead of sending finished goods directly to the United States. These connector nations handle final assembly and export products to the American market, bypassing direct tariffs through a complex routing system. This shift is physically transforming manufacturing hubs in Southeast Asia and Latin America as they take over the world's assembly lines. Leaders in these non-aligned hubs are leveraging their indispensable role in global supply chains to extract concessions from both Washington and Beijing. While these middlemen prevent a total collapse of global trade, they are creating a vastly more complex and inefficient map in the process. This patchwork trade system provides a measure of resilience, but comes with a significant price tag. Replicating heavy industry in multiple countries purely for political security requires massive capital investment and permanently increases the cost of manufacturing. These structural frictions contribute to persistent inflation and require heavy government subsidies, straining national budgets and increasing global debt. The World Trade Organization reflects this slowdown, slashing its global growth prediction for 2026 to just 0.5% as the drag from trade restrictions intensifies. Developing nations in the global south face the highest costs under this new system. Many of these nations are frozen out of the new, heavily subsidized tech loops, left to manage mounting debts without the reliable drivers of growth. Friendshoring acts as a shield for wealthy superpowers, but risks leaving the most vulnerable economies behind. AI hardware hubs in East Asia and the primary connector economies are positioned as the winners of the coming decade. Global trade is settling into the structure of a volatile economic Cold War that will likely define the 2030s. While artificial intelligence and green energy will generate wealth, these technologies will be closely guarded by national security mandates and restrictive trade laws. Economic statecraft and strategic defense have superseded the pursuit of global market efficiency as the primary forces shaping international relations. The era of causative-sum globalization has given way to geo-economic fragmentation, a period where trade is defined by competition rather than cooperation.